Good morning and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to give you guys an update on how the garden is doing. We've got some things growing, we've got some things ready to harvest, and I put in just about as much as I wanted to put in this year. For those of you who are new here, my name is Leah and I live in central Portugal with my partner and toddler here on our land. We've got a little valley, as you have probably seen, and we have the garden in the most bottom terrace. This is my first year trying to grow as much food as I can. I'm a beginner. I just look up on YouTube and on Google how to do stuff, and so far I think it's going pretty well, but I'll show you in this video, so let's get into it. So let's start with a general overview of the garden. We have 5 long beds. I think they're about 10 to 20 meters. And they're a little over a meter wide. And then there in the back we have one hugelkultur bed in which we just have strawberries and calendula right now. Yeah, we're just trying to grow as much as we can. We hope to not buy any vegetables this summer, and in the planning of things that I wanted to put in, I've kind of looked at what we can preserve and what's good for eating in the summer. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. So in the first bed over here, in the back there, we have a couple more tomato plants. As you can see, they are very much in need of some more support, which I already have laying down here, but I need to find the time to actually put them in the ground. This year we're trying a couple different trellising methods. I'll show you later. We also have just some sticks next to them, and we have the big trellising where we just use a string and kind of lead them around the string. I'm trying a couple different things because I'm not sure which I like the most. So here we'll have just some string up and down, and then I can put them in between there. As the bottom layer we have some more pumpkins. I think they're doing fairly well. Some of them kind of have some more yellow leaves. I've been feeding them some extra fertilizer, but we'll see what comes from it. We have 4 different types of pumpkin, so I'm sure we'll have at least a couple pumpkins, hopefully. But as you can see, they're growing pretty well, and they're not starting to flower yet, but I don't think it will be long. So as you can see here, the cucumbers have not climbed up them yet. For now there are just some small seedlings, but I think the lettuce already likes the shade just from the pallets, because it's growing really well and it's not becoming bitter yet. I think next week we'll start harvesting some, because for now we still have some very big heads of lettuce that we put in the ground earlier. But this will give us a good amount of lettuce throughout the summer. So here with the watermelon, you can see that the leaves are still quite small. At first I was thinking that it might be just because it's clay soil, and watermelon doesn't really like clay soil. But then I was talking to a friend and he was saying that it's also probably because I put them in the ground too early. I do have to say we've had quite a bit of up and down weather. It's been quite chilly for this time of year, and we have lots of extra rain in June. So the watermelon is not really in the ideal conditions to really start growing. It is kind of branching out and producing some flowers, but if you're thinking, and if you live in Portugal, you still want to sow some things, just direct seeding some watermelons you can still do. They will still produce fruit. So I might do that just with some more melons and some more watermelons to see if they actually do better than these ones. Over here in the last end of this bed we have some spaghetti squash. All the plants are starting to fruit now, and one of them is getting really big. So in a couple weeks we'll start harvesting some, and we can have some spaghetti squash from our own garden. So over here in the next bed we have more tomatoes. We'll have so many tomatoes soon. But it's good to have options. So in this bed I'm trying a different type of trellising method, namely just a couple sticks next to them, and then I have some string to tie the stem around it. I've been gathering sticks all over the land. As you know, we have plenty, so it's been quite easy. And over here you can see I found some really nice straight rock rose stems, and I've been using some strings to start them, to help them up the stem. For now, I have to say this might be my favorite method. It's much easier than the string from the top, and then you have the leaves and they can kind of get entangled. So for now I have to say this is probably my favorite. I do see that if you have lots and lots and lots of tomatoes like we do, it might be a bit much to do it this way, but it's good to have options, and we'll see what's the best way in the long run. Here we also have our courgette area. We have 11 plants in total. Most of them are starting to produce fruit as well, so I think soon we'll be swimming in courgettes and just giving them to anyone who wants one. We started to harvest the first ones. They're really quite delicious. We have 2 different types, as you can see from the different types of leaf, but both are just a lighter type of courgettes. Here we have another bit of pumpkin patch. As you can see, some of the leaves are starting to go very yellow. This is the plant that started to crawl out from the very beginning. It looks quite healthy, but now, as you can see, it's kind of on the fence. I'm not sure what it is because I have been feeding it some fertilizer, and it seems to be spreading out quite well. So if you have any idea of what it might be, what I maybe can do about this, do let me know in the comments. Over here in this bed are the tomatoes the first tomatoes that we planted. We planted them in the beginning of May. As I just said, the weather has been kind of cold, colder than usual, and even though some of them are setting fruit, most of them, some of the tomatoes kind of have a weird problem. I'm not sure how to describe it, but you can see it on the screen right now. From what I've gathered from just looking online, it might be because the weather has been so up and down, because we've had some cold nights, and that kind of causes the flower to not set the fruit properly. For now, it looks like it's only the ox-heart tomatoes that actually have it. They were also the very first to set any fruit, so I don't think it will be an issue in the future, because hopefully now all the cold weather is over and we'll have a very good, hot but mild summer for Portugal. As the bottom layer with this row of tomatoes, as you would have seen, we have some bush green beans. Most of them are starting to produce green beans, and we've even harvested some already. Most of them are still quite tiny though, but in a couple weeks we'll have plenty of bush beans, I think. These are the last potato plants that we have in the ground. Some of them are not looking too good, but for a first time growing potatoes, I'm quite happy of the harvest. For the stuff that we have harvested now, we have about 15 kilos, and I think we'll have another 10-15 from this bed alone. What I'm kind of confused about though is that they're not really starting to flower anymore. But as you can see, some of them have kind of a little bit of a fungus issue, so maybe they're just not healthy enough to start flowering. We are now joined by our lovely toddler Puck, who just woke up. Next year I think we'll have a complete field of potatoes that we don't have to worry about getting them out of the ground to make room for other things. For now we just had the Desiree potatoes, which are really quite good from your own garden and in general, but next year we would like some more variety and also ones that can store for a long time. Over here in the second to final bed we have some aubergines, and I finally put in the peppers. The aubergines kind of had a little bit of transplant shock, and they didn't like the colder weather either. So they're starting to pick up now that the weather is getting warmer again, and I see some of them are even starting to produce some flowers. Some of them have a couple leaves that don't look too healthy. I've already pruned them a little, but I'm not sure what this problem might be. Once again, if you have an idea if I need to do anything about it, do let me know in the comments. The peppers look quite good though. They're really settling in well. And here also finally you can see the trench that I dug. It was not great planning to do this after I had already established the bed, but I did put it in the end. I've started to use it a little bit, just by putting in the hose and letting it fill up. We'll have to actually see though if this is a good watering system. The idea is that because it's in a trench and you kind of let it seep into the soil, that it waters them more deeply, so they have deeper roots as well. For now, this summer we're mostly using a hose to water the garden, but that takes quite a bit of time every day. We did put the IBCs up one terrace so that we can gravity feed from those tanks. We'll kind of have to evaluate at the end of summer which is easier and which method is the best for water conserving but also producing good vegetables. So maybe we could do a little bit of a comparison at the end of summer. I'll let you know. I've also sowed 2 late blocks of sweet corn. I got some really nice, hopefully, corn from our friend, some good organic corn. I put them in 2 blocks, and then we have some pumpkins that can go on the ground in between them. Nothing's coming up yet though, so you'll see it later. So this was the tour of our garden in June 2020. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any ideas of what I might still plant, if you have any suggestions, don't be afraid to leave them in the comments. This is it for now, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.